Good day everyone. So today I will going to show you a graphical video portfolio about international economics. So before that, let's have a short discussion about international economics. So what is international economics? International economics is the study of economic interaction between countries. International economics deals with economic interactions that only occur between independent nations. So how could a country interact with another country? So through international trade. So international trade involves the exchange of goods and services and other factors of production such as labor, capital, across international borders. So on the other hand, international finance studies the flow of financial assets or investment across borders. International trade and finance became possible across nations only due to the emergence of globalization. So when we say globalization can be defined as an integration of economics all over the world. It involves an exchange of technological, economic, and political factors across nations due to the advancement in communication, transportation, and infrastructure systems. So with the advent of globalization, there is a rapid increase in a free flow of goods and services, capital, labor, and finance between nations. So the consequences of globalization can be negative or positive. So let's go to the graphical video about international economics. Foreign trade is recognized as the most significant determinant of economic development of a country all over the world. The foreign trade of a country consists of inward and outward movement of goods and services, which results into outflow and inflow of foreign exchange. Foreign trade involves commercial transaction between member states and third countries. In other words, between different customs. It is thus opposed to the so-called intra-community trade, which is nothing more than the exchange of goods between member states. Importing and exporting are means of foreign trade. Foreign trade is carried out in goods and services, which includes imports, exports. And the balance of foreign trade is presented separately for goods and for services. The total imports, exports, and the balance of foreign trade are presented as summaries of goods and services. Exporting refers to the selling of goods and services from the home country to a foreign nation, whereas importing refers to the purchase of foreign products and bringing them into one's home country. So let's take an example to these two graphs. So on the first graph, it is a year-on-year growth rate percent of export from May 2018 to May 2021. So sales from export posted a positive growth. The country's total export sales in May 2021 amounting to USD 5.89 billion increased at annual rate of 28.9% from an increase of 74.1% in the previous month. So in May 2020, total export sales declined at an annual rate of negative 26.77%. So on the import graph, import value increased because total imported goods in May 2021, which amounted to USD 8.65 billion, increased at an annual rate of 47.7%. In April 2021, the annual increase was higher at 152.8%, while in May 2020, imports decreased by negative 40.5% annually. So the country's total external trade in goods in May 2021, which amounted to 14.54 billion US dollar, grew at an annual rate of 39.9%. In the previous month, the annual increase was recorded at 114.5%, while in May 2020, the decline was negative 35.2%. Of the total external trade in May 2021, 59.9% were imported goods, while the rest were exported goods. So the balance of trade in goods is the difference between the value of export and import. So the balance of trade in goods in May 2021 amounted to negative 2.76 billion US dollar, representing a trade deficit with an annual increase of 109.7%. The trade deficit in the previous month recorded an annual increase of 1,548.9%, while in May 2020 it was negative 64.0%. So in this graph, we can see that the Philippine trade deficit increases at 109.7%. It only implies that our imports exceeds our exports, because a trade deficit occurs when a country's imports exceed its exports during a given time period. So it is also referred to as a negative balance of trade. So sad to say that the Philippine country, or our country, has a negative balance of trade. Since our country's export exceeds our imports and we have a negative balance of trade, it only means that we did not benefit from trade. So how we could benefit from trade? We already knew that comparative advantage is one of the most important concepts in economic theory, and the fundamental tenet of the argument that all actors at all times can mutually benefit from cooperation and voluntary trade. Comparative advantage is an economist's ability to produce a particular good or services at a lower opportunity cost than its trading partners. The key to understanding comparative advantage is a solid grasp of opportunity cost. Put simply, an opportunity cost is a potential benefit that someone loses out on when selecting a particular option over another. So here in the Philippines, we have a comparative advantage of exporting coconut, while in Thailand, they have a comparative advantage of exporting manufactured goods. So if we export our coconut with the manufactured goods of Thailand, so we all both gain from trade. So in this scenario, comparative advantage is used to explain why companies, countries, or individuals can benefit from trade. And additionally, we have this economic concept known as interdependence. So interdependence is the shared need of countries for resources, goods, services, labor, and knowledge supplied by other countries. In conclusion, comparative advantage is a foundational principle in the theory of international trade.